I don't like reporters asking questions in condescending fashions with players that they have no relationship with.
Yeah.
Okay, what I just said there was pretty niche, I believe, but it's real. I respect the fact that journalists and reporters have to act in a certain way, and we doofuses are allowed to act differently because nobody has any respect for what we do, but we also hold no credibility. We are just creating conversation and content. When reporters and journalists are representing a news company or credentialed and are in the building, I think it's a different relationship. Now, there might be personal relationships. I go along with a lot of the local media that are here. Damn, one of them actually is the reason why Nick and I got to golf on the other course. AC from Wish TV here has been around. First person put me on TV. Got along with him very, very well. There's people from Fox 59 that I got along with, NBC that I got along with. I mean, you can have those relationships, but if you don't get along with somebody, you have to understand that you are representing like journalism, like you are representing media, I think. So this situation that's brewing with the Commanders is fascinating because I think we potentially have part of it.
Ooh.
I think we're a part of the problem. So I'm on the player's side. Also think it's potentially our fault, but I think it's a good learning lesson for everybody as opposed to a potential like anybody was at fault type situation.
I wouldn't blame us for the questioning because that line of questioning has been happening for a long time. I'd blame us for other shows trying to be funny and they can't be funny.
All right, we're not funny either. Let's get to this video, though, that caused quite a ruckus. This is from the Washington, D.C. area with Commanders quarterback Carson Wentz and a man named Scott, who's a local news reporter in Washington. If you haven't seen it on the internet, we will run it now in its entirety. A lot of conversation, obviously, following.
There's been kind of a narrative out there here in training camp that you've been a little inaccurate on your throws. Consistently inconsistent has been a kind of a terminology. How would you assess your performance in training camp, and is that characterization fair?
Yeah, I mean, for one, it's camp. You know, I think I didn't know that, so thank you.
Yep.
But,
I know, because I know you told me you don't read that stuff.
At the same time, I'm my biggest critic. So I come back after practice and I'm kicking myself over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plays, you know.
Real talk here, Carson. It's been well documented. Philly didn't want you.
Oh, no.
Indy didn't want you.
Jeez.
Do you think this is your last chance to prove that you can be a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Yeah, you know, I don't really think about all that stuff. For me, I'm playing the game that I love, and I have the most confidence of anybody in myself to deliver, to play at a high level, to be a part of something special here with this team. And so I don't put all that pressure on myself. I don't put, people can feel that way, people can say what they want, and I have no issue with that. You know, that is what it is. But for me, I don't think in those terms.
So that obviously caused a little bit of a stir, so much so that Jason Wright, president of the Commanders, put out this tweet. Jason Wright, president of the Commanders, says, "Thankfully, Carson demonstrated grace in class in response to this pompous, unprofessional mess. I recognize you have made a living on childlike provocation, but it needs to be called out. Don't expect special access, and good luck building rapport with the guys." At Scott 7 News. Now, Jason Wright, former NFL player, been in a locker room before. First player to ever become a president of an NFL team. I fucking love Jason Wright. I'm appreciative of Jason Wright. Now, what Jason Wright said here, I think with special access, probably was saying, hey, Scott, you're going to request a little bit extra maybe someday. It's probably going to get turned down. Then he also followed up with saying, good luck building rapport with the guys. After seeing this, they're going to think that you're going to try to get them. And then if you ask for a request for somebody to do an interview with you for your local show, that they are at the facility, out of practice, special media credentialed access type point, you're probably not going to get anybody, is what Jason Wright was alluding to, I do believe. Trey Wingo is not happy about this.
He is.
Trey Wingo is not happy about this. Trey Wingo is the chief trends officer.
There it is.
CTO at Caesars, formerly of ESPN. He has now moved into the digital space. He has a commercial on TV now. Looks good, looks handsome. He responded to this entire thing with a tweet that said, when is it a good idea for the president of an NFL team to take to Twitter to go after a reporter? Never. I wrote about it for Bulletin. Subscribe below. Okay. Now, 2 retweets, 3 quote tweets, 5 total retweets at the time we found this and saw this. I did appreciate Trey Wingo sticking up for the reporter and sticking up for reporting as a whole, but I also appreciate the fact that Jason Wright's sticking up for his fucking guys for the first time in the history of the NFL. You never see this. Media have been able to do whatever the fuck they want, and teams always say like, that's their job, that's their job, that's their job. I can see why Trey Wingo, because he had a situation happen with a coach, I guess in 1986, he wrote about it in there, where he asked some questions that the coach thought was disrespectful disrespectful. They got past it. Jason Wright doing this, he didn't think was the right way to go about doing it. And also acting like we won't allow you to have access is quite a threat to a guy that was just asking real questions. I think obviously the answer lies in the middle. His delivery could have been much nicer.
Yeah.
There's ways to get answers from people that you know, people that you don't know. Obviously, he and Carson don't have a relationship. So Carson Wentz handled it well. Jason Wright said, hey, why are you being a fucking prick? And Trey Wingo took a stand. I mean, quite a situation where everybody feels like they're exactly right, and probably none of them are. Hard out. Got it. I feel pretty good, like I got it all in there. But that's real, though. Trey Wingo took a stand because of a situation that happened in his life in reporting and sticking up for journalism. You know, he's doing the full,
of course.
Hey, don't be holding access over the head of a reporter for asking a journalistic question and everything like that. Trey Wingo has to understand and acknowledge the fact that that question was set up like somebody that wanted to start a little bit of a fight, which is what Jason Wright responded to about the provocation. Provocation. I don't know. Provoking.
It was
provoking.
It was a provocative question.
Yeah, the way it was laid out. Question fair though. I think fair
absolutely.
question. Fair question. The way it was delivered, interesting. Like when I'm interviewing somebody that I don't know, you'll see me ask questions in a different manner than somebody I do know, and I think that's just natural human stuff. And I think journalists can probably do the same, and everybody knows that they can actually.
Well, and I think to your point, like there's a difference, like after a game in the locker room, if a guy doesn't play very good, like he's going to get kind of that line of questioning, maybe not exactly, but to be off on the side in like kind of an intimate one-on-one conversation, like he was just kind of being an asshole.
Great courage though by the guy to ask those questions too.
For sure.
I like Scott sitting in that chair, leaned back, bad body a little bit. Carson could have picked him up, dropped him on his head if he wanted to in real life. Would never happen because he's a media member and Carson's a professional athlete. Carson also not that type of guy. But I mean, back in the day, you used to have to think about these things before you said them. Now you don't really have to do that type of stuff. Carson handled it well. The way it was delivered, I think, was just awesome. I mean, I guess you can say awesome because the guy had enough courage to do so. But also, anybody that looks at that goes, could have worded that much differently. You're a professional word person. Like, you're a journalist.
You'd
like
have to
that.
say the Eagles and Colts didn't want you.
Yeah, like the way you could say it didn't work with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Situations.
Yeah, like the way it was framed was an attempt to make it almost Grant Coney
Yeah, exactly.
from the Niners. You know what I
Absolutely,
mean?
yeah.
That guy.
Like he was looking for it.
Yeah.
Like-
Niners camp?
I don't know if he's still credentialed. I assume
I
he
do
is.
not think so. I don't think he's back in the building over there.
And I do like that Trey Wingo just said, reporters are allowed to do whatever they want, however they want, and get access to whatever it is. It's like, no, dude, you're lucky to fucking be in there. I think that gets forgotten about. Like a lot of coaches tell players, you know, you don't have to be here, you get to be here. It's not a right, it's a privilege to be in the NFL.
Yep.
Is that Quills?
Well, it might be a mix.
Oh, Jesus.
Ice Americano, almond milk. Extra buck, put the Splenda in there.
They had almond milk.
Yeah, it's behind the counter.
Yep.
It's not out here. Tasted very delicious.
Oh, I bet.
But I fucking housed it. Anyways, the reporters just act like they're supposed to be like the teams are lucky that they're there almost. And I agree that the media and the teams have to have a relationship and it's good for all parties and the media is needed for the NFL. But just like there is a little bit of an entitlement that seems to come with a lot of people that walk into those buildings that are in the media department. Not everybody, but I'm just saying the entitlement that seems to be there. We see it in press conferences and questions. I mean, goddamn, guy in Pittsburgh Steelers camp just asked Devin Bush, your fifth-year option was declined. How do you feel? It's like, geez, all right.
Whoa.
Have you got an extension of the contract of the paper you write it? Like that is a very interesting way to go about asking a question, human to human, as opposed to just subject and reporter. Like I think that is just there might be a little blurred lines there.
Yeah, and anytime talking about money, like that type of stuff, I think Harbaugh said it to Rich Eisen. Like that's the way to do you want to have all of your contract negotiations out in the public, like it is for a lot of these players? Like that seems to be something that you should stay away from. But like obviously you do have to ask Carson and other players like difficult questions.
Have to.
Instead of just saying it, like, and this is what you do really well, is you lay out the situation and why it is difficult,
Yes.
and then more so, going after the answer versus just saying like, yeah, nobody really wants you as your fucking quarterback, you're overpaid, like you're inaccurate throughout camp. Like that seemed to be Scott Abrams' way of doing it versus, like the head coach got fired in Philly, they had a young quarterback, the Colts, their standards, they want Super Bowls in the next few years. Obviously, you cost a lot of money. You've never really been to a Super Bowl.
All right. See,
but seriously,
but
there
there is
are-
a way to lay it out, I think. And that's basically what Jason Wright was saying. Like, hey, you were laying these questions out as if you wanted problems. Like you did. And Carson handled it very well, I thought. But I think that was Jason's biggest issue. And Trey took issue with Jason having an issue. And I like that everybody's just taking an issue with things because it is, always a good time.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
With all we're
But that is to a T.
It's always a good time to high horse. Mm-hmm. If you get a chance, pull that high horse out of the stable.
You do it.
You fucking saddle that
have
thing.
to do it.
And you write all about it.
That's right.
Word
Like
for
that
Carson.
Detroit Free Press person who was
Bam.
pissed that MCDC wasn't talking about Russia Ukraine.
All right.